This is
Mm.
this is my novel,
Hmm.
In Memoriam. I think the biggest lesson about writing is that
Guys, welcome back. I'm sitting here today with Lyndsie Clark, who is a science fiction writer, and we worked on two books together, right? I think you
yep.
were with us for two. That was like
Mhm.
maybe a couple of years ago now, but in any case, you've got
Yeah.
the first book of your series, which has just released. So we're going to talk a little bit
Yes.
about that, and
Hmm.
you can also maybe share some lessons and some insights from the last few years of working on multiple books and now releasing the first one. So this should be fun. Do you want to tell us the short version of what this book is about, what the series is about?
Yeah. So I've got it right here. So this is
Hmm.
this is my novel,
Mm-hmm.
In Memoriam. Sorry, my background's weird.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
so it's a dystopian science fiction, military fiction novel about a soldier who enlists in an army to goes to China to help them start a revolution against the evil corporate overlords.
Yeah.
Um, and the main character has a genetic mutation that allows him to communicate with machines. He's part of a group in the world called savants, and they have different abilities, kind of like the X-Men. His whole goal is to help, bring down this corporation that's abusing the workforce and the people of China. I started writing probably, I mean, I was like in school. I was like 11, 10 or 11 when I
Yeah.
started writing, and I wrote my first little story,
Uh,
and I whatever poetry contest and stuff when I was a kid. And I actually wrote my first full-length novel when I was 15. That
cool.
one will never see the light of day probably, but you know,
But this has
I
been
still have it.
okay, so this has been your thing now for quite a long time. And
Yes, yep.
when we met, what kind of stage were you at with your books and your writing, and what made you want to have the help originally? Like, what kind of problems were you running into?
Um, so I started specifically the series that In Memoriam is going to be part of called the Savant Uprising. I started the concept of that series in about 2012, and so
Right.
I've been working on it for a long time. I'd had some stories go through multiple iterations, and I finally wanted to kind of collect it into a cohesive, set of books with each, with their own individual story rather than just kind of like a big,
Yeah.
I had a lot of information about the world and stuff, but I didn't really have greater goals, for each individual novel. So,
Yeah.
one of the reasons I started working with you guys is because I felt like I got away from my original purpose of the novels and I needed somebody to like drag me back, kicking and
Wait, that's
screaming.
interesting. Hold on, that's interesting because that's something that I actually hear quite often. But when you say that you got pulled away from your vision in a sense, your original vision for the books,
Mhm.
why do you feel like that happened? Like, how did you end up there?
Um, I mean, I'd spent a lot of time developing the story, and so my brain was like going off on side quests, like, oh, these characters would do this thing and whatever. Which is
Yeah,
cool. Like, it's cool to have a lot of that, random information, but
yeah.
the side quests and the distractions made the book feel like it meandered too much.
Yeah, I remember this. So partly was this because you were improvising at the time and there was not a whole lot of structure there?
I think so. Yeah, I didn't really know. I mean, I've never been formally trained in writing,
Hmm.
outside of like whatever random college classes I did during my master's program or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but so I didn't really have a good idea of a structure, or like an outlining method that
Yeah.
like worked for me,
Yeah.
you know?
It's interesting because
Um,
I think a lot of people listening will also find themselves in that boat. A lot of newer writers start off by pantsing and like just improvising completely. Not because they're necessarily pantsers. Some people really are like that, like that's all they can do. But a lot of people are not naturally like that. It's just that they have no idea where to even start with structure. Like, how are you even supposed to structure a novel? It's not, we don't get taught this at school. So it's the
Yeah.
kind of thing that you have to actually seek out and learn from somewhere. And I found
Hmm.
that a lot of people, once they learn how to do it, a lot of them are not pantsers. They just didn't know how to plan. And so, okay, so
Yeah.
we kind of did that structural work together. Okay, so you had a bit of a structure problem at the beginning. What was the most helpful part for you of us working together?
I think uh, breaking it down and making me kind of forcing me to think about the pieces, but not just about the pieces individually, but how they kind of integrated with the whole.
Yeah,
Um, I was definitely a pretty self-proclaimed pantser as
yeah,
well when I like years ago I kind of started getting out of it and when I really started to be serious about making books, but part of it was
yeah,
because I would think of a scene and I would get so excited. I just wanted to write the scene.
right.
But then you'd stall out once the inspiration dies or you'd get
Yeah,
distracted and write something else.
yeah,
Um, so being able to think of like what is the actual point of all of these different pieces and like I think one of the biggest most helpful things was with the character arc. Something I didn't really think about too hard was that more than just my main character need to be able to grow and change and have their own arcs. Like that wasn't really something that
yeah.
I had really considered, at least not actively.
I think what you're highlighting is that it's really important to just have the tools to know how to think about your book and your story. Because
Yeah.
it's not that there's anything wrong with pantsing necessarily, but I've found that even if you're a pantser, you still need to roughly at the back of your head understand what a character arc is and where you're going with it and roughly how a story is normally shaped, because I think if you don't even have the tools, then it's very hard not to end up with chaos, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember
Okay,
you've told me that before. I remember you told me that the one time maybe I saw one of your videos. And
right.
it's one of the pieces of advice I really hang on to
Okay.
now. Um,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
being able to understand the story structure.
That's a good
So,
segue actually, because I was gonna pick your brain a bit because you're now someone who's this is the first one that you've published, but you've now worked on several
mhm.
different projects. Is there any like lessons about writing? If there's anything that stands out to you, maybe something that came up recently or just from the whole journey that you would want to share with someone who was all the way back at the beginning working on their very first project, what would you kind of say to them?
I think I think the biggest lesson about writing is that you really do have to be open to critique and
Yeah.
accepting of it. You don't have to listen to it all, but the thing that I have learned is when somebody says something, or when somebody said something about my stuff that was actually, I guess I should say hurtful, but it wasn't intentionally hurtful, obviously, on the other person. But if they said something like that was more unexpected to me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, no, that's hurtful. That's not true.
Yeah.
Those are actually the most relevant parts because I realize like it's pushing me out of my comfort zone
Yeah.
and making me think about things, kind of taking off like the rose-colored glasses. I think the
Yeah.
the coaches I work with in the past and the editors, like their biggest helpful the biggest help that I got was when they told me something I didn't really want to hear.
Yeah. Oh man, I couldn't agree more with that. That's a great insight. And I think that's also another thing that marks the journey from someone who's just starting out to someone who's actually finishing and publishing their stuff, is that the person who's starting out is usually very shy of feedback and kind of treating their book like it's their secret diary that they have to keep under their mattress and not show anybody. Whereas the people who are further in the journey, like you, who are actually releasing books and finishing their stuff, usually are not afraid to be critiqued. It's like, read it, look at it, tell me what you think I can improve. I want to know because I know that if I don't get other people's eyes on it, then it can't be finished because I won't know how to improve it, right? So,
Yeah.
no, I think that's a great insight. Well, all right, well, if anyone is interested in picking up Lindsay's book, I'm going to put a link to it either above or underneath the video so you guys can go and check it out. And please do leave her a review as well. And
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
awesome. All right, cool. Thank you so much, Lyndsie. Thanks for coming and joining me.
So thank you so much.
Thanks. Cool. All right, I'll